Hello, 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 and welcome to Bleav. That's Bleav in Lions, right here on the Bleav Podcast Network. As always, I'm your host at Javanaugh87, Jack Kavanaugh, and today I am joined by a very special individual, a former fourth round pick who went on to play 10 seasons in the NFL, including 6 as the starting safety for the Detroit Lions, the 2014 interception leader, the All-Pro with over 700 career tackles, with 24 picks, 10 forced fumbles, and 2 defensive touchdowns. Please welcome the one and only Glover Quin.
Not too shabby. Not too
Just
shabby.
excited to have you on here, and the people have to know just how special you were, not only for the Lions, but for the Texans as well.
I mean, you know what? It turned out to be a pretty good career. I did things that I always knew I could do. Just had to have the right opportunities to do them, and I tried to maximize those opportunities when I got them. And I can look back on it and say I done that. So it turned out good for everyone involved.
This episode of Bleav in Lions is brought to you by betonline.ag. BetOnline is your number one source for all your betting needs and sports info and odds. Find all of the latest sports developments, including this week's odds for the Masters Championship and the start to the Major League Baseball season. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino and poker games. It's super easy to get started, so join today. Learn why everyone is saying BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on popular sports and games. Just use our promo code Bleav to get started. That's BLEAV. BetOnline, where the game starts. And you talk about maximizing your opportunities, and you absolutely, like, you were a corner and a slot, and then you moved to safety. You did it all in the defensive backfield, took advantage of those opportunities. But what was your favorite position in the backfield?
I probably would say safety. Safety was as a safety in the secondary, you're the one that's in control. You're the one making the calls, communicating to everybody, getting everybody on the same page. So as a corner, you have to do what the safeties tell you to do, far as the coverage, far as the adjustments and things like that. And so when I was playing corner, I could always see the adjustments that needed to be made. I can always see like the call that we should be in. But I was young when I was playing corner, and so I always had to wait for the safety. So I'm kind of looking at the safety like, are you going to make this call? Do you not see this formation? Do you not see what's about to happen? But I didn't have the power to make those calls. And then when you're playing in the slot, it's hard to play in the slot. You got the run aspect of it. You got the pass aspect of it. So you got to learn the run gaps as like a linebacker. You got to learn the pass drops like a linebacker. You got to be able to cover the little shifty, fast guys in the slot. It's a lot going on in the slot, and it was fun. If you want to be in the action and you want to really get your nose dirty and do things like that, the slot is a lot of fun. But for me, playing safety allowed me to kind of do all those different things. I was in control, able to see things, make calls, communicate to my corners and my slot guys and my linebackers. Make the right adjustments for what I was seeing, what I was feeling, what was the game plan, what we were trying to get done for today. And then, you got the opportunity to get in the mix. You got the chance to get down in the run game and make tackles. You get the chance to blitz. And then, my favorite thing was, being able to sit back and read the quarterback, make plays on the ball. So I would have to say safety was by far probably the best one for me.
And you did pretty great at it. We all remember you with the Detroit Lions, leading the league in interceptions back in 2014. But it wasn't a consistent scheme for you in Detroit. You had to play under 3 different head coaches, 2 defensive-minded guys in Jim Schwartz and Matt Patricia. Then you also had Jim Caldwell, the offensive guy. And then you also had in the Texans, you had an offensive head coach in Kubiak, but one of the greatest defensive minds in recent history in Wade Phillips. So what was it like playing in all those different schemes and having to transition on a dime?
I mean, I don't think the schemes and the coaching aspects of it was that different. Like, when I first got to Detroit, we'll start there. Jim Schwartz was a defensive minded coach as the head coach, but he was also in kind of what we considered, or what the world probably considered, his final year, or he was on the hot seat, or he was whatever. So when those coaches are in those roles, they tend to want to be way more in charge, put it like that, right? They want to do things the exact certain way because my job is on the line, right?
Mm-hmm.
When Coach Caldwell got the job, he was the offensive minded guy, had a background in defense as well, but he was more like a supervisor. He let his offensive coordinators coach, he let his defensive coordinators coach. So, and he was kind of like the supervisor because he knew that there was things that needed to be done offensively, there were things that needed to be done defensively, and he knew exactly what it was supposed to look like. So, if it didn't look that way offensively, or if it didn't look that way defensively, he was kind of that guy that was, like I said, the supervisor. He wasn't just solely focused on the offense or solely focused on the defense. He let the coordinators do their job. And then Matt Patricia was more of a defensive minded guy. So he ran the defense. He wanted the defense done a certain type of way. He wanted the defense ran a certain type of way. He was coming in as a new head coach, trying in his mind to change the program, all these different things. And so he wanted to come in and try to make a statement as far as him being a great defensive minded coach. So he was real strict on the defensive side of the ball. If things wasn't going well offensively, yes, he would say something because he's the head coach, but he spent the majority of his time focusing on the defensive side of the ball. And then, with Coach Kubiak was an offensive minded guy. So Coach Kubiak didn't spend a lot of time coaching or speaking up about the defensive side of the ball, right? Like you said, once we got Wade Phillips was running the defense, and Coach Kubiak ran the team and he ran the offense. And so Wade spoke defensively, but Wade was kind of like Coach Caldwell. He was more of like a supervising type of D coordinator. His whole thing was, hey, I'm gonna call the plays on Sundays. This is the game plan. You coach your guys up. So the linebacker coach your guys on how we're doing things this week. Secondary, coach your guys. So we spent a lot of time in individual meetings with Wade Phillips as opposed to team meetings. We would come into a defensive meeting with Wade Phillips. We may be in there for 2 minutes.
Really?
Once everybody got in there, he may be like, all right, guys, it's third down day. So, we got to cover them. We got to be able to blitz them. But, we just got to find a way to get out the field. It's third down day. All right, break up and see your coaches. Right. So that's kind of how a meeting would be with Wade. You know what I'm saying? So he wasn't one of those coordinators that was going to keep you in the defensive meeting room for an hour and a half, installing and all that stuff. No, he's going to let each individual coach go through their install it how they want to get things done from, what they've taken from the staff meetings and stuff like that. So all of them was a little different. But at the end of the day, if you're a defensive guy, you got your coordinator, you got your position coach, you got your system, and you're just trying to hone in on every detail in that system that will allow you to go out and play well and play fast on Sundays. So that's about it.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how different coaches run it and the amount of control they want versus a hot seat coach versus a new coach versus a supervisor, as you said. I personally really enjoy the supervisor model because it empowers everyone. And as Dan Campbell has said, a true alpha knows when it's time to concede because he's admitted Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, they're on the same level. They're both alpha mindsets. They're competitive, but you have to know that you're not the be all end all. No matter how great you are as a coach, you still could be wrong. And that's one of the things that excites me about this new Lions organization. Have you paid much attention to Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell coming in?
You know what? I haven't. I haven't paid that much attention. I see some of the things. I see, I follow the lines on the social media, so I see some of the stuff. And he seems like uh, a really good guy. Fiery. Wants to be involved with the team and do things the right way. And so the team tends to you know follow that mindset, follow that leadership. But like he said, as the leader, you also have to know when and how to, I don't want to say follow, but you got to know how to kind of, you can't just be all about me all the time, this, and this. You had to be able to listen to other people, take suggestions, lower your ego, and all those things, and understand that we're all here to try to help everybody win, everybody be successful. So never been too big to listen and take advice and even listen to your players. Your players are the ones that are out there having to do everything. And so if a player, especially respected players, veteran players are saying they're feeling a certain way or this is coming across like this, you have to be able to take those things into consideration and adjust your approach because you don't want to lose your players having your back because they feel like you are above them. And so you want to have that good relationship with your players as well.
And what I find interesting about this new Lion staff too is it's a lot of former players that are in coaching roles. So hopefully that does result in more listening to the players because as Jerry Ball and I have talked about in the past, you got to listen to the on-field talent. They're the ones making making things happen. They're the ones executing the assignments. And so if you're putting a player in position to fail, if it's something they know they can't do, you're setting the whole team up for failure. And the goal should always be to put the best product on the field and to win as much as possible. And again, you had to do that in a variety of different ways with a variety of different partners in the backfield because when you came to Detroit, it was Louis Delmas. Then you also had Diggs, James Idehigbo, and you also had Tavon Wilson. So how long does it take to develop that chemistry with your safety partner?
Um, you know what? It takes a little bit of time to get a true chemistry. A lot of it depends on the game styles of each person. Like when I first got there, Lou had been there for 4 years already. He kind of had a reputation with the team, with the city, and I was kind of the new guy coming in. So Lou kind of had a way that he liked to play, um, the side that he liked to play on, and he was respected in the organization for that. So I wasn't tripping. He wanted to play on the right hand side of the field all the time. So bump it, I played the left. So when I was with Lou, we didn't really have a true strong safety, free safety because he wanted to play on the right side the whole time and I was on the left side the whole time. So, if the tight end came out on the left side and we were in, say, a man-to-man coverage, then technically I was the strong safety because I was the one rolling down on the tight end. If the tight end came out on the other side, then technically I was the free safety because Lou was the one rolling down on the tight end because that's just what he felt comfortable doing. When I got with James Ahedibo was more of a in the box safety. He was a true box free, strong safety. So when I was with him, it didn't matter left or right, wherever the tight end was or wherever the rotation of safety was at. Diggs was going to that side, and I was going away playing the free safety. Every now and then we would switch it up, and I might go down and get a blitz or do something like that. But we tried to keep Diggs in the box and down so he can play to his strengths, and then I could stay back and play to my strengths, And then Tavon was kind of a little different. He wasn't a true in the box safety far as size wise. He wasn't a 6'2", 230, I'm saying, one of those bigger box type safeties. But he was good in the box as far as shooting the gaps and being able to get in there and make tackles and covering tight ends and things like that. He didn't really excel as much, I guess, playing as the free safety, being back in space and doing things like that. So when I was with him, we would try to keep him down in the box as well, but understand the things that he could do and things that he didn't like to do. Then when I got with Quandre, man, Quandre was kind of like the same body, right? He was, a shorter, stockier, started out as a corner, just like me, and transitioned to safety. So, man, Quandre could do a lot of the same things. So we could play it kind of like Lou and I was playing it, right? He could be the strong at times, he could be the free at times. I could be the strong at times, I could be the free at times. So it was just kind of different in how each person played. But you got to go through the practice reps, you got to go through the time to understand each individual, and in meetings, having conversations, seeing what guys are comfortable with. I preferably didn't have you know that much of a care. I felt like I could do it all. There was things that, yeah, I probably would have preferred to do, but at the end of the day, I felt like I could do it all. And so whatever would make my partner comfortable, that's what I was willing to do, because that's what it was about to me, building that relationship, building that comfort, so that they can go out and play to the highest level that they could play. And I trusted that I could go out and do the same thing regardless of what position that I was put into. So just practicing every day, meetings, talking, cafeteria, lunch, all those different things where you just get to know the player more, get to understand them more. um and it just kind of goes from there. When Diggs first signed out there, well, James Idehigbo, he actually lives in Houston where I live. And so we actually started working out together. Um, and so we just started building a relationship throughout the summer, just working out. And then, once we got to Detroit, we just kind of hit the ground running. I think that first off season when he got there, I don't think I was practicing that off season because I had just came off of ankle surgery from my first year in Detroit, 2013. So I didn't go through any of the OTAs with the team. So training camp was my first time having like a practice with James Idehigbo. But we all, like I said, we had knew each other from the workouts and stuff that we had been experiencing and dealing with over the summer. So we already had a respect for each other and kind of understood each other. And so we were able to kind of hit the ground running.
That's so interesting the way you describe that relationship and having to get to know each other on a more intimate and what our strengths are kind of level. Sounds very familiar to almost a quarterback and receiver or a quarterback and center type relationship. And one of those quarterback receiver relationships getting a lot of hype right now is your former teammate, Matthew Stafford, because even before the season, he was going for brunch with Cooper Kupp every day. They became best friends. And now you get to see your former teammate win a Super Bowl. So, what was that like for you? And what was it like when you were playing with Matthew Stafford?
Well, Matt's, he's always been one of those guys that, considerably had probably one of the best arms in the NFL. He's
Mm-hmm.
always had a great arm, strong arm, can make any throw on the field. And so to see him go to Los Angeles and get a change of scenery, get a different motivation, a different chip on his shoulder, all those things, and then to culminate all that with a Super Bowl win at the end. Like, it takes a lot to win a Super Bowl. That's a huge feat. And he was able to stay healthy for the most part. He had some ups and downs throughout the season, had some good stretches, had some bad stretches. But through it all, they stuck with him, and he kept working and kept building that relationship. It's tough when you go into a team like LA. It's the big market, it's national, is everybody, all eyes are on you, right? They brought you in to right the ship. What I'm saying? They had a good team, and they felt like maybe Jared Goff was the reason why they couldn't get over the hump. Well, they went and got the guy that they wanted. Now it's a lot of pressure. So it takes a special individual to be able to handle that. And Matt's definitely one of those guys. He's kind of been in the spotlight his whole life. What I'm saying? Coming out of high school, going to Georgia, uh, true freshman, playing and getting drafted. As a junior, young, signed a huge contract before the draft even. I think he was already signed before the draft even happened, right?
I believe he was,
So
yeah.
yeah, so he's always been that guy, and so he was able to handle that. And then he, coming in, building a relationship, going to brunch, going to lunch, hanging out with your receivers. Those are the guys you're throwing the ball to. And so, when you're having those conversations off the field, you get to understand the person. You get to understand what makes them tick, what I'm saying, what they like, what they don't like. And so that helps you when you get on the field because you have a comfort level. Y'all have talked about situations that they like to be in, situations you don't like to be in, throws you like to make, throws you don't like to make, routes they like to run, routes they don't like to run, you know, things that they like, or when they see certain things, hey, this is what I like. When I see this is what I'm thinking. So when you can build that relationship out the field and have, a little more, backbone to your relationship, it helps you on the field because now you're understanding each person. You see, what they're seeing. And that always helps a quarterback with his wide receivers. That helps a quarterback with his center, with his, I'm saying, guys that we got to have that connection because there's so much going on, right? It's thousands of people cheering. Guys are moving. Like, we got to be able to see the same thing, and we got to be able to communicate to each other without actually having to say a word to each other. We got to be able to look at each other sometimes and know that we're both saying the same thing. Like, it's kind of like yeah, are you saying what I'm saying? And we got to know that, yes, we're saying the same exact thing. Or are you feeling what I'm feeling? Like, do you feel it's just a lot of that stuff that goes into it, that it takes that connection. It takes that chemistry that you have with them off the field to be brought onto the field. A lot of times you have, guys that you haven't played with and you don't have that connection with. And, if you guys aren't seeing the same things, if you guys aren't feeling the same things, if you guys are not on the same page, then that's when you see guys not playing to, the level of their capability.
And that's kind of when breakdowns and coverage start happening. You start seeing the free receiver down the field. No one wants to see that. So that's why those relationships are so important to build. And with those relationships, it feels in Detroit, even when people leave on somewhat negative terms, such as Quandre Diggs. I know we won't go into that, but he still loves the city of Detroit by all reports. Matthew Stafford still very much involved in the community of Detroit. So, what is it about the city where, even if you don't agree with the coaches, even if you leave with a sour taste in your mouth, what is it about Detroit that keeps people coming back and kept you in Detroit for not just one contract, but I Bleav two?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think a lot of it has to do with just the culture of the city, and the understanding of the city. When you come from the outside, you can see and hear all the national talk about Detroit, right? The good, the bad, the not so really good, and all those different things. And then when you come into the organization, you kind of have um you kind of have that pressure on you as well, right? The whole world feels this way about the Detroit Lions, and as a good-hearted individual, you appreciate the fans that continue to come out and support, to continue to feel, Ford Field, and make it, a really, really, really nice place, right? And so when you come out there and you're trying to change the organization, you're trying to do things and bring, some national respect to not only the team, but also showcase the city of Detroit as well. When you get that reciprocation from the fans, they love you. They come out to training camp, they come out to the games, you know, but they are hardworking, true fans. If you're playing well, they're gonna tell you. If you're not playing well, they're gonna tell you as well. And I think as a player, you grow to respect that and love that. And so when you do leave, I'm sure there's guys that have left Detroit that may not have been there for a long time, and they probably don't have the same love and respect and care for the city. But when you got guys like Stafford, right? Stafford was drafted there, right? So that organization gave him an opportunity, and he grew up there basically. I mean, I think he was 20 when he got drafted, and so the Lions were coming off, I think, 0-16 and 08. and he got drafted in '09. So he came in with a huge pressure on him, and the city rolled with him through a lot of ups and a lot of downs, right? Then you look
Mhm.
at, myself, the Detroit Lions were the first team to reach out to me in free agency, wanting me to come in and help change the organization, change the franchise. And so they believed in me. And so I wanted to reciprocate that. And, I had success on the field. So the fans loved that part as well, right? The Detroit Lions drafted Quandre. So they gave Quandre his opportunity. So a lot of times, when you have those situations, especially with good people, they appreciate the fact that you believed in them, you gave them an opportunity, and they're willing to do everything to try to fulfill, their obligation, their duty. And you have a good relationship with the fans, and so when you leave there, even if it was something that had to do with the organization, like Quandre getting traded, Stafford, or my situation, all those different things, that has nothing to do with the fans. And so that has nothing to do with the city. That's just a business type of thing. That's an organizational type of thing. And so you still have love for the city. You still have love for the fans that cheer for you, that continue to still support you, even though you're on a different team. Because I mean, they understand that as well. It's a business, and things don't always work out, how they want it or how you want it. But at the end of the day, there's still love there and support there. So I mean, at least that's for me, how it plays out.
And of course, there's always going to be some negative fans, but it truly feels in Detroit that everyone just wants the best for each other. They want the players that come to Detroit to succeed. They want the players that choose Detroit to succeed. And even when they leave, they still continue to support them. We all saw the Detroit Ram shirts, which were very controversial, but it just speaks to the love that Lions fans have for Detroit Lions. And once you're a Lion, for many people, they're a Lion for
You're
the rest of
always a
their
lion.
life.
No question. And like I said, for me, I still interact with um fans from Detroit. I mean, most of my social media following is probably from Detroit. So, I got on a Detroit Lions shirt right now. I mean, I still, I wear hoodies and all types of things that, you know, it's just, I don't know. It's just a cool thing, man. And like I said, I got much love for the city, for the people in Detroit. Like I said, very hardworking people. And when you see how hard they work, and how much the city wants to win, and how much the fans want that winning team, that Super Bowl, you want to do everything you can to try to deliver on that. And we got we had some good years. My years that I was there, we had some good years, brought some excitement, brought some. I think when I first got to Detroit, we might have had two national TV games. I think we always had the Thanksgiving game,
Hmm.
but I think we had one Monday night game against maybe the Giants. No, maybe the Ravens. I think when Justin Tucker kicked a 60 some
Oh,
yard field
yes.
goal on us. They beat us by all field goals. I think that was a Monday night game. And those were the two national TV games that we had in Detroit, my first year, as opposed to, I think, my fourth or fifth year. I think we just had like five national TV games. We had obviously the Thanksgiving game. We would have Monday night games. We would have, another Thursday night game, Sunday night games. So we had some good years. Like I said, we never got all the way over the top to where we wanted to be, but we had some good years, brought some excitement to the city, to the fans, and unfortunately took a turn. And hopefully Coach Campbell can get it back to where it was, and exceed that level.
Yeah, we've got our fingers crossed for the success of Dan Campbell. We're really hoping for that. But in general, it feels like a great time to be a Detroit Lions fan because we've got Hard Knocks coming up this summer. So we're going to get an inside look at training camp. Then in 2024, the draft
Wow.
comes to Detroit. And in a couple weeks now, the draft comes up. The Lions have 2 firsts, they have 2 thirds, they have a bunch of late picks too. Great time to be a Detroit Lions fan. And so, with the draft coming up, any thoughts on the preparation process or what the Lions could or should be looking to do?
You know what? The preparation for it is the biggest thing, right? You have to, for one, evaluate your team and know exactly what you need, and then you have to be able to look at these prospects and see, okay, who can come in and help us right now, and who are some guys that we feel like can help us a little bit right now, but they definitely could help us as they develop and get older and learn how to play. And so I think you're sitting there with the number 2 pick. I think who has the number 1 pick? Jacksonville.
Jaguars do
So
indeed.
Jaguars drafted, Trevor Lawrence. So as long as they're happy with Trevor Lawrence, you don't see them drafting a quarterback, number 1 overall. And so you're sitting there with the Lions with the number 2 pick. If you believe in Jared Goff, then you're not drafting a quarterback as well. Or I don't feel like you draft a quarterback that high for him to, sit behind, Jared Goff. If you're going to draft a quarterback that high, then he's coming in to be your guy, and you're going to ride with him. You're going to you're going to have some growing pains, but you're going to ride with him. And maybe Jared Goff may be his backup, so that he can at least, help him teach him how to be a pro and study and do all those things. And so if they're thinking quarterback that high, then it's whoever they have perceived to be the quarterback that can lead their organization, run their offense, the system, how they want to run it. And that's the thing that is, for an organization, it's kind of tricky because you got the perception of the world, and then you got the perception of what we need, right? So the world may look at a prospect and say, "Oh my gosh, he's the best prospect out here for this position." But if I'm studying film and I'm studying my offense and I'm studying what we do, yeah, he may be the best guy, but what we do doesn't really fit what he do. So he's the best guy, but he's not the best guy for us. This
Mhm.
guy is the best guy for us, but a lot of times it may not be the popular pick for the fans, right? So you have to be able to understand that, hey, this is who we need to fit us, right? I've seen a lot of things about, them taking a quarterback, Malik. And like I say, he may be the best quarterback on the board. I don't know. I haven't really got all into the draft stuff. Those are just the reports that I see. But like I said, what if his style doesn't fit Coach Campbell's offensive style and what they have going on there? Is that the right pick to make? I don't know. You just signed Tracy Walker to a 3-year deal, right? So you feel good at the safety position. What do you draft? A top safety coming out, Kyle Hamilton. What's his name? I think.
Yeah, Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah, from Notre Dame, right? Do you draft a guy like that high? Do they feel the same way about him as the world felt about him after going through the scouting and the combines and the pro days and all those different things? So it's a lot that go into drafting. And like I say, when you got the number 2 pick, that's a pretty pressure packed pick, right? So, and it's a lot of different things that could happen. Like I say, if they're happy at quarterback, they may not feel like there's any position that we technically need a number 2 overall pick, right? So maybe we
Yep.
can trade the number 2 overall pick and end up with like the number 6 pick and then another second round pick or first round pick. You know what I'm saying? You just never know how you make and flip that pick to get more picks to get guys that you need to fill out the roster if you feel like we're set in certain positions, right? If you feel set at the quarterback, do you have that show stopping wide receiver that you feel like you need, right? And if you don't, do you feel like there's a guy that's worthy of the number 2 pick at wide receiver, right? Do you have the cornerback that you need or you feel like you need to run your defense? Do you have the offensive tackle? I think they still got Taylor Decker, right? So you may feel good right there. Do you have the defensive tackle or the defensive end? There's so many things that go into like those pillar positions. And it's like, okay, if we have those guys in place and we really just need to build around them, let's take this number 2 pick and turn it into 3 or 4 other players for us. But if you don't have that guy, then you got to take that guy and say, we're gonna build around you. And so I don't know exactly what direction they're gonna go in. I really don't. It'll be interesting to see though.
And that's honestly one of the reasons, again, I think it's such a good time to be a Lions fan is there's so many options. I don't know that there's a correct one right now. I know there's people, they have their hard stances. You got to take the Michigan kid, Aiden Hutchinson, or you got to take quarterback, or you got to do this. Do you have to do anything? Because where the Lions are, there's a lot they're building their roster, but they've got time to continue to build it and continue to build it. So trading back, always a good option. Plenty of talent in the draft. It's an exciting time to be a Detroit Lions fan because of the draft, because of Hard Knocks, because of the 2024 draft in Detroit, and because we all get to hear from Glover Quin today. So, Glover, thank you so much for coming on the show. Do you have any pluggables that you got to plug before we get out of here?
Nah, not right now. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, I'm kind of getting back into, you know, the digital media space, obviously, doing the podcast and getting back out there a little more, been getting settled back in. But I definitely have a couple of things I'm gonna be plugging coming up in the near future, a few things that I'm working on, things that um, you know, cooler projects. So don't have anything right now, but I definitely will have some things coming through the pipeline.
Cannot wait for that. Because if you're saying it's a cooler project, it has to be pretty damn cool.
No
So
question.
once again, thank you for joining us. Everyone, make sure you check out our friends over at betonline.ag. And until we see you again,